What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and I do have a new song out recently called Dreamin', so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. Okay, guys, I want to get into a longer-term, heavier subject here, which is how do we fund SPS rewards for everything in the game forever. Now, again, this is not an end-all be-all. It's just an idea out there based on what a lot of the conversations that I've had, probably most recently with Dave McCoy, who's now the CEO of Splinterlands. And again, it's not that we shared anything or that he's working on anything. In fact, the team cannot do anything about this because this is an SPS-related matter in terms of how rewards are given out. But that being said, there's been a lot of talk about halving, for example, to follow something similar to what Bitcoin does so that you can essentially have these rewards be given out forever or in perpetuity. Now, my biggest drawback with the halving is that you go out and you dictate this schedule. And once again, it can always be changed, right? So that's not, you can't really replicate that when it comes to Bitcoin because it can be changed, but that's always going to be an issue. So it doesn't matter, like anything can be changed through a DAO vote. But the bigger reason that I don't particularly care, or I guess the more relevant reason that I don't particularly care for a halving schedule is because I think if you do something in a non-linear-ish way, it creates these moments that could be extremely jarring, right? So you see that with the Bitcoin, I guess like Bitcoin mining, for example, right? A lot of things get affected when the halving comes around. Price goes kind of wild, the hash rate goes kind of wild. A lot of miners go offline, and it just becomes this kind of chaotic time, which I think is fine for something like Bitcoin, fine for something like crypto. But if you're trying to create a consistent game that you want people to come back to every day, regardless of what the price or the market are doing, then I think you need to have something smoother. And so my recommendation for this, and this is just a very preliminary idea that I'm putting out there that, we'll see if people like or reject or want to massage and do a little bit more with. My idea is actually based on how the original energy system in Splinterlands was, the ECR system. So if you remember that, it would essentially take, every time you played a game, it would reduce your energy by 1%, right? So you could essentially play forever because it was 1% relative to the amount of energy that you had. So for example, right, if you play a game, or if you play roughly 25 games per day, that would be roughly 25%. But that's looking at it from an absolute perspective. That's not how it actually worked. Although, that's, well, whatever. Let me get into how the absolute works. Whenever you play a game, you would use up 1% of energy relative to how much you had. So if you were at 100%, you would drop down to 99%. Then the next game that you play, if you were to hit battle, it would take your ECR and it would take 1% of 99%, right? Which is 0.99 or 0099, whatever it is. So it's not actually taking you down to 98%. It's like 98 point something. And so the thing is, you could consistently play all the way to zero and approach zero, you could all play and approach zero, but never actually hit zero. And so therefore, I think we should implement something like that with our rewards. And we don't have to do it across the board. And we don't even have to use up all the SPS. The DAO can sit on SPS and potentially have some available for the future, right? If the game expands into anything or whatever the case is, maybe use it for payments and one thing or another, or to fund extra rewards. Whatever the case is, the DAO can hang on to it. But let's say, for example, and I'm going to use the easy numbers like this, right? Which again is not going to be the ideal scenario if you're looking at it from how much rewards are. But if we look at all of the different pools, and I'm just going to focus in on, let's say the ranked reward pool for modern, right? Because you can do this across the board: modern, wild, survival. Now you can even do it with land. You could do it with the validators, right? Once all these pools run out, you can even do it for staking. Once all these pools run out, my recommendation is to set aside a certain amount of SPS. And so, like I said, we have currently 2.8 million that are in circulation. Now, 2.8 billion. Now, about $1 billion is already owned and staked by the players, right? There's another 100 million that's looks like it's liquid. And then obviously the DAO is sitting on quite a bit. And we minted, I think, everything on the front end. So here's how I would do it. And again, just easy numbers, similar to the ECR system. When we run out of the rewards, what you would do is, let's say you set aside 100 million SPS for ranked modern. When we do that, on the first month of rewards, which would fund 2 seasons essentially, right? You do 1%. And again, the percent can be whatever you want it to be, right? But it's just, let's just do 1% to keep it easy. If you do 1% of the pool, then in that month, you would pay out 1 million SPS, right? Because you're starting off with a pool of 100 million. And so to reduce it by 1%, you go from 100 down to 99 million. Then the next month after that, you would take 1% of that 99 million, which would be, I don't know, what is it, 990,000, right? So first month would be 100 million, then 1 million SPS, then 990,000. And every month that SPS quantity would decrease without ever actually hitting zero, because you're just taking 1% of whatever's in the pool. So let's say the pool goes all the way down to like 1 million SPS. You're still just taking 1% of that, right? Which would be, 10,000 SPS for that month. But that would be many, many years down the road at that point. And the hope is that SPS would reach a high enough level that funding the reward pool at that point, 3, 4, however many years down the road, funding it with 10,000 SPS would either be equal or maybe even more than when we started funding it with 1 million SPS on month number 1. Right? So now you have this dedicated pool of 100 million that is set aside to fund rewards in this particular part of the game forever. Right? And so we will need to do this across all the different domains and decide how much SPS potentially, we should be setting aside. Again, it doesn't have to be 100 million. And if we do 100 million right now and you're only doing 1%, keep in mind that we started giving off like 7.5 million SPS per month to a lot of these pools. And obviously that's been coming down significantly. But what if we were to do that across the board, right? For modern ranked, wild ranked, survival, land, if we want to continue doing stuff with land, validators, tournaments, whatever the case is, right? If we were to continue doing that, guild brawls, we would be able to set things up in a way where we would technically never run out of rewards. Now, the important thing is that whatever we choose not to do with, or whatever SPS we choose like to hold on to with the DAO, we just have to make sure that that doesn't like hurt the system in any way and drive value down, drive the SPS value down. We want to be very stingy with how much we're giving out, right? We want to reduce the amount of inflation that's happening while still setting some aside for a potential future game mode or a potential future game, for example, right? Like we have what's that called with Soulkeep, if we were to get something else like that comes in and they reach out to the DAO and want to provide rewards. So that's my preliminary idea. I don't want to expand any further than that because I think it's already giving you the basic gist of it. And again, I'm just using arbitrary numbers here. We could do it where it's just like, if you want to start with like 300 million per pool, right? Cool, that's fine. Or if you want to do 100 million, but you start with like a 5% allocation or 5% per month, then that first month it's like 5 million, which is kind of close to where we're at right now. The next month you take 5% of 95 million, right? Whatever that number ends up being, and then slowly and steadily it decreases. So the percentage is flexible, the original amount is flexible, but what's important is the concept behind it, that we never actually reach zero. And you do this over a long enough period of time that by the time we reach that point, hopefully, right? Splinterlands is a lot bigger of a game. The crypto market and crypto gaming is much more mature, and the scarcity of SPS is truly felt by many of the players out there and within the ecosystem. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I will catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.